What's up, people? One Nut Punch here. I'm going to be talking about a game I've been playing for a couple days now that's currently in beta called Sand. In Sand, you are on this like desert walker. It's like a big mech with legs and then like a small compartment. You'll have like your captain's quarters, a like type of reactor or like motor that allows you to go places, and then you have your steering wheel and your cannon. What I'm showing you here is essentially my first experience playing this game, where the FPS was so bad I could barely play it. Now, February 22nd, 2025, there's more improvements to it, and it's a lot more smoother than what it was. Here's another thing. It's PvP and PvE, and I know a lot of people will be like, oh my god, PvP, why? First of all, if you don't like PvP games, you should stay away. But if you love PvP games with some PvE, I highly recommend people trying this one out. Essentially, this guy was chasing me for about 20 minutes, and I decided, well, let's go ahead and shoot at him. So you have your own individual pistol, shotgun, triple-barreled shotgun, I think long pistol. I think it's like looks like a pistol kind of cylinder, like a revolver, but it actually has a barrel of a rifle and a stock of a rifle, and it goes pretty far. You have red barrels that you could detonate onto their ship, like kind of Sea of Thieves-esque, to where you can pick it up, throw it, shoot it once, and it blows up. Has this really nice effect of fire and explosion. Then you have turrets on your ship. You have a shotgun turret that's point blank. You can shoot mid-range, but the only thing you're doing is scratching them. And then you have auto cannons, an 80 millimeter and a 40 millimeter. I think the 80 millimeter is like slow and laborious, but if it hits, does massive damage. And the 40 millimeter, even though it's a little bit smaller, I think it also does rapid fire. When it comes down to piloting your mech, essentially you have to worry about a couple of things. You have turn speed, strafe speed, and just movement speed. And movement speed is W and S. You can only go 2 speeds, and then you can go 1 backwards to be able to back up. You have turn speed, which is essentially Q and E, that allows you to turn a lot faster than usual. And then you have the A and D keys that allow you to turn that specific direction, would be left or right. The other time you have to worry about players crashing into your vessel, because it seems to be the norm. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're guaranteed going to blow up, but if they do hit you at a specific amount of speed, you will take massive damage. If you do not repair it, then if they hit you again, it's pretty much a done deal. The only way that you could respawn back onto your vessel if you die is if you have canned food. If you have canned food in the refrigerator, then you could respawn into your captain's quarters on your ship. But if they destroy it, which basically is the reactor here, if that gets blown up, the whole ship goes and you're screwed. The reason why I customly made this vessel to be open is because, 1, I could see everything around me, and 2, I'm able to put 2 different cannons on either side of my ship, as well as have more maneuverability. If you put a bunch of stuff on your actual mech, it will go slower. But if you have a smaller chassis, it goes a lot faster and has more maneuverability than the other ones that you normally see in the game. They did add more resource stuff to Sand for like the blueprints to be able to make a ship. If you wanted to get more material, like ammunition, heavy parts, scrap parts, medicine, or even the cannon shells that you can normally get, like the shotgun or the 80 millimeter or 40 millimeter, you can find them in the world as well. Essentially what you're doing in this big open desert map is going around picking up stuff that are in these crates. You have different crates, actually. You have green crates that are something you could take with you. You can put all the heavy stuff within it, like the shells that you normally can't carry more than 1 at a time, but you can carry 20 stacks if you have the green box. You can also find brown boxes that have your own type of ammunition and weapons for your actual guy. Sometimes you'll find high ammunition, or even some of the other turret stuff, like these blue rounds. Not to mention they have the lock crates as well, to where you find these military valuable or like rare crates, and you can pick them up and take them with you. If you find a key, you can unlock it, but if you get done and extract with it, I think they go into the store and you get a bunch more currency. Essentially, this guy behind me is shooting me with his 40 millimeter cannon. He got annoyed, or he just wanted to have a fight, not sure which. But later on down the road, I had an ally come help me out, and we proceeded to double team him until he killed us both, because 1, the guy would go up and ram him from behind, sealing his fate and killing his entire mech, and then I decided to do the same thing, but then he finished me off with a bunch of firing of his cannon. so we both died to the guy anyway. Still, though, I gotta say, it's been fun as hell playing this. I mean, getting red barrels and going up to people and blowing their stuff up, seeing the fireball that happens, being able to go and grab their crates, run away, go back to my vessel that's still currently walking, or do like the decoy method to where I jump off my vessel, have it walk by itself, and then chase the guy from behind or get on top of his ladder while he's not looking, and try to plant a bomb or take whatever he has. It's very fun to play this game, whether it be a solo or whether it be playing with friends. Probably even more so with friends, but you could definitely do it as a solo. This ship that I currently have now is actually my custom one. I have two 80mm cannons on right and left side. I have my captain's quarters, and I have the reactor, or essentially the engine / motor, to be able to move the ship. If I don't have enough fuel for that actual reactor, then I'm screwed. Another thing of note is you see that plume of smoke coming up from his actual mech. You can turn that off when you're at night or at day, and people can't see that. The only time they'll see your actual mech is if they get close enough to it or use the binoculars. Otherwise, they can see that thing from miles on end. So I recommend turning it off when you're going to a place and finding a bunch of loot and items to be able to put onto your vessel. Again, it is a very difficult thing to do by turning your stuff off, because if you do turn it off, you get off, go grab your stuff, and come back. You want to just immediately accelerate, but you can't because you have to go turn the thing back on. But it doesn't take too long. It actually, if you turn it off, it's just a button press. But to start it up, you have to hold down the F button, and then it'll actually go. Another thing I forgot to talk about is the aiming in this game. You're on a walker. You're essentially a giant mech with legs, and you're walking very slowly. If you go to your max speed, which is 2, it's still not very fast. The only time you'd actually go faster than other vessels is dependent upon how much stuff you have on your mech and how big your chassis is. If it's big enough, it'll be pretty slow, but if it's small enough, you can go actually a little bit faster than some of the other people in the game will. But I want to touch base when it comes down to aiming in this game. Whether it be you or the turret itself, you're bouncing around everywhere. So you have to try to aim up or down or like a specific spot to where it's going to be able to arch. The 80mm cannon may be slow, but when it hits hard. The thing arches as well, so probably aim a little bit higher than usual. Same thing with firing your pistol or using the long pistol rifle thing, I think it's called. It's like a revolver for a cylinder, but it actually has the buttstock of a rifle and the barrel of a rifle that's extended and goes a lot farther than some of the other guns. You have a triple-barreled shotgun. You then have a single-shot shotgun and then your normal pistol, which is the default, 10 rounds, and then whatever you have for it, which I think is 8x21. I always pick up 9x21 for some reason, and I think it's the other gun that you find later on. But when you go into this big map and you're wandering around finding players or NPCs, there's also cities that you can go to that have these creatures that are like purple. They'll actually have guns that shoot at you, or they'll charge you and try to claw at you. And they actually have like valuable stuff there. You can get like papers and small valuables that are worth a bunch when you go and extract. Then you have the extractions themselves, which is these circles on the map. When you get there, you have to find a radio tower, go to the radio tower, activate it, and when that happens, you have a countdown, I think 2 minutes or maybe a minute before it comes, does calibrations to your ship. A rappel will come down, and you could rappel up with just your normal guy. And then after that, you have to go into a spectator screen to where you watch this big ship try to grab your vessel and then try to get out so that you fully extract from the game. In short, Sand is a PvP PvE game where you're mostly using these mechs that were customly made by you, or you use the 3 default, small, medium, and large, that have a shotgun turret or an 80mm cannon or 40mm cannon with whatever else, and you're shooting other players with it. The players are the only ones that have the mechs themselves. The NPCs don't really go anywhere besides the one spot that they spawn, whether it be the small ship or a big city. Another thing is when I was fighting this guy, another guy to the far left that's shooting at him decided to help me out. And even though we collided with each other a couple times, it was like that silent agreement. You kind of give him the handshake and we're about to go blow up this guy. Spoiler alert, this guy kills us both anyway. One, because he decides to ram him twice and then he blows him up with his cannon. And I decide to ram him after I fire into his top portion of his mech, and then he blows me up with his cannon anyway. Still though, the way that this game feels, the way that this game looks, the way the game kind of works out, how it kind of allows you to go wherever you want. You don't necessarily need your mech. You can jump off and go walk around the map, but it takes forever to do that. It's a huge map. I mean, when I mostly spawn into the game, I'm only like at a quarter of it. If I were to go from one corner to the other, it would take at least about 30 to maybe 50 minutes just to get there. It's that big. And it's not even the whole map, because you have all this desert land, and you have all these capsized ships, small kind of settlement areas, big cities, extraction locations, and you also have this other thing called contracts, to where if you have coin or a specific item, you can trade for something else in this tray that will give you what you need. So if I have like 500 coins, I can get 10 cans of food. Or if I have 10 cans of food, I can get maybe 20 shotgun shells for my cannon. Kind of see how it works with that. In short, before the end of the video, what I wanted to talk about with Sand is that if you want something that's a PvP, PvE game to where you have big mechs, big weapons, you actually have like a cozy area, which is your captain's quarters, something to kind of get into like a sandbox and being able to make your own big mech with whatever designs and builds you're trying to go for, highly recommend people trying this out. You can go on Steam and download the beta for people to try. I think all you have to do is request to play, and then you should be able to get in. That's how I got it. And a couple of questions that I have for, I don't know, the developer or what happens when this game is done being in beta. The three I like to ask are, how much is it going to cost? How much content is going to be released for it? And how long is the beta going to be exactly? Because those are going to be the main thing for me as to where I go and buy this and then play it more when it actually comes out. If it's a decent enough price, it's probably going to be early access because, again, when I first played this, I had a lot of issues. FPS drops, optimization failures, it crashed a bunch of times. Sometimes if I tried to get into a firefight and respawn back to the main menu, I didn't actually get the pop-up that says Plan Expedition to play again. I had to restart the game multiple times, and so on and so forth. So be aware that it's going to have some problems if you try and play it, but if you can deal with it, then I'm pretty sure you're going to have as much fun as I did. But anyway, I've been One Nut Punch, and this has been the Sand video. I am going to be working on the SCP.16 video when that comes out March 5th. I'm just currently waiting for the SCP-5 devs to release it so that I can at least see what all the new stuff is going to be, all the patch notes and everything. And I can't wait to see what new stuff is going to be happening for Area 12 and the Antarctica map. But anyway, thanks for watching as per usual, and I'll see everybody in the next one.